Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to Coffee Tea, You and Me. This is Coach Powell. I'm so glad that you decided to join us today, taking a little break from your busy schedule to tune in to what we have to share and what we might be discussing about entrepreneurship and working with business leaders in the community, helping them to really, really hone their craft, hone their skills, define their messages, and really make themselves available for the clients that they want to serve and the opportunities that they have in front of them. I've got two amazing guests backstage right now. I have Mr. Michael Council, who's returning as one of our guest panelists today, and a brand new guest panelist today, Miss Leslie Branford. She's a Salesforce genius and one of the most special people I've had a chance to interact with. And they're both backstage, and I'm gonna have them come and introduce themselves as soon as they come on camera. And I believe that, and we'll handle that, and then we'll put them backstage again, and we'll get started and keep on moving with the show. And guess who just popped in, ladies and gentlemen? The lady who needs no introduction. GI is in the house. My government contracting guru. She is a specialist in all things when it comes to small business development within the federal government space. She is an absolute supercharger, and I'm so glad to have her here today. You guys are going to love having GI in the space, and she's going to be a great opportunity for all of you to really learn and grow from as we talk about today's topic. Let me introduce today's topic before I get to my guest panelists today. Today's topic is a super special topic in the world of understanding how all performance is driven. There are two concepts that you really have to get right and have to understand. Those two concepts are payments, and those two concepts are, and one of those two concepts is payments, right? And one of those other part of that those concepts are basically um, profits. There's an alignment between payment and profit that empowers performance. Let me say that again. There's an alignment between payment and profit that empowers all performance. So last week, we talked about payment. We talked about what it is to make a contribution, what it is to make an investment, what it is to empower others, what it is to literally become a benefactor of in some way, shape, or type to some other people or other institutions. Today, we're going to flip that around. We're going to talk about the profits. We're going to talk about what it means to receive what one needs to receive to validate, to support, to maintain a high level of performance. How do you treat your benefactors? How are you an amazing beneficiary of what others have poured into you? How do you conceive and think through all that needs to be conceived and thought through in that whole payment process and dynamic? How did all that work for you in order for you to render the kind of performance that elevates you and everybody that gets to experience that performance along with you? So the questions you have to ask yourself in terms of your payment, right? What is it that you receive? The payments that you receive from your investors, the payments that you receive from your shareholders, the payments that you receive from your stakeholders, payments that you receive from your customers, payments that you receive from everybody involved in your performance is what we're going to talk about today. So I hope you're excited. I hope you're interested. I hope you're engaged because I'm going to ask you 7 of the most powerful questions that have been ever asked when it comes to you receiving what you need to receive to elevate, escalate, dramatize, create an amazing performance in all that you do in every role that you play. So I hope you're in for an interesting ride because we're going to have a lot of fun. I'm going to introduce our first guest today, and I'm going to introduce Miss Leslie Branford. Now, I told you a little bit about Leslie. Leslie is a Salesforce genius. Now, what does that mean? We all know that Salesforce is one of the most powerful CRMs that are out there. And the problem with most technologies that help assist people, they help assist people in so many multiple variety of ways, and so many different interpretations can be used to track and maintain the success that you need to maintain. You literally need a specialist to help you figure it all out and work through everything you need to work through to make that system work. Leslie is the specialist that you can call on and depend on to make that happen. And I'm so glad she's here in our organization today. And I want to have her just briefly introduce herself. Leslie, thank you so much for coming to the table. So good to see you. Let me see if I can get a better view. I like that view much better. Here we go. All righty. So Leslie, tell us all about yourself for a quick second to make sure you come off mute.
Thank you very kindly and graciously, Coach Powell. It is an honor to be here, and I am cultivating as an entrepreneur a new business called Intelligent Solutions as the founder and CEO. And we are providing smart, simple, and scalable solutions to enhance Salesforce systems. This helps accelerate the growth of the company through actionable data. If you use Salesforce or are interested in using it, we will offer a free consultation to help you determine if you're getting the most out of your CRM systems. We pride ourselves in providing white glove services. So in the world today of Salesforce consultants, there are a lot that come in, say they're going to fix something, and then they're gone. We're more of a boutique consulting firm at this stage, and the intention from the very beginning is to have a long-standing relationship. And what that builds into it is accountability for the results, accountability for the quality of the work, outstanding communication back and forth. Obviously, it takes time to learn the communication that's needed for that to be effective, and it takes some time to dial that in. But we want to be able to invest the time in those relationships so that we can be that ongoing support system. There are a lot of updates that come out multiple times throughout the year, and we try to help keep you up with all that as well. So,
Thank you so much, Leslie, for being here. You are
sure.
just a champion, and a champion for small businesses and champion for people who are interested in learning more about the CRM community and what they can do with it. Thank you very much for your kind offer. Really appreciate it. Do me a favor, if there's some contact information that you want people to be able to reach out to you, go ahead and put that in the chat. That way people can, they can either contact you through LinkedIn or any kind of contact information you want to share. Put that in the chat, and everybody from Facebook, on YouTube, and on LinkedIn, as well as on Instagram, will be able to see that and reach out to you. Fair enough?
Fair
All
enough.
right,
Thank you.
I gotta bring up my next rock star, guys. You guys know how I roll, right? You already know I don't bring anybody in front of you who's not the real deal. Literally, truth teller extraordinaire. Make sure that you know everything you need to know to be successful when it comes to working in the federal space. You're not going to get anything but the straight poop from GI, and I'm so glad to bring her to the table. Andrea Michelle, GI, she is in the house, and GI, go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience. You don't need any introduction, but go ahead and introduce yourself again to the audience.
Well, hello, LinkedIn fam. Hello, Facebook fam. Hello, Coach. Um, I'm broadcasting on my profile at the same time. So I wanted to give everybody a hello. But no, I just want to say it is absolutely a pleasure to be here with you and to be in the midst of Coach Powell. I'm an advocate for women, veteran, minority, and underserved community business owners, bringing context to the government contracting space. There's no shortage of information. Just Google government or federal contracting, you'll come up with millions of results. But I am the crew that I work with, the amazing humans, including Coach Powell. We're aiming to bring context to the government space, make it real, make it relevant, and make it on time. I'm the host of Demystifying Government Contracting and the GI Factor, two platforms that I broadcast weekly. I want to thank Coach Paul for letting me be here. I am a servant. It is my mission and my ministry to help the world know that women, veteran entrepreneurs are this nation's top secret weapon and an untapped resource. Let's go.
Right, all right, all right, all right. It's so good to see you, GI. I'm going to put you backstage and we're going to get this party started right away. Thank you so much. Like I told you guys, all we deal with is rock stars. We don't bring any low drag, small thinking to this table. When you're at this table at Coffee Tea, you and me with Coach Powell, we eat big, and we make sure that we give out all the good stuff that you need to have to be successful in your small business enterprise. So I hope that you are paying attention. Do me a favor, don't keep this a secret. Make sure you tell your friends on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, and on YouTube. This is the place to be at 3 o'clock every Friday afternoon. If you really want your small business to be propelled forward, bring all your questions, bring all your thoughts. We're all about interaction. If you have yourself a product or service that you think people need to hear about, you need to want to learn, just put it in the chat, right? This is a business friendly environment. We don't want you to play small. We want you to play big. If you have something that's great, we want you to share. You got an event going on that you have doing, put it in the chat. Let people know about it. If you have a question about anything about your business, put it in the chat. If we can't get to that question for some reason, the chat's always going to be there. You never know who might respond to your question. There's no such thing as a bad question. Just make sure that you're respectful and you don't use any offensive language in that particular question. But ask your question, engage completely. That's what the chats are there for. It's those comment sections are there for you to engage, and we want to try to create as much of an engaging environment as possible. And we welcome it. Welcome all your feedback. If you want to get in contact with me, my information is scrolling across the screen. If you want to get in contact with Leslie, nope, that's not it. Here it is. There she is. Boom. That's her information right there, right? It's also in the chat. So if you're watching on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, you can all pull that information up. No excuse for you not to get in front of, talk to the people that you need to get in front of and talk to. So please, please, please don't leave your questions unanswered. Even if we're talking about a different topic, you never know who might have an idea or a thought that might be useful for you. So make sure that you stay engaged, you hang in there with us, sharpen your pencils, take copious notes, do whatever you got to do. We're going to make everything happen. Now, also, today's topic is already in the drive. So all you got to do is open up the chat and go and look at it, click on it, open up the document. That is the most recent version of the training guide for today. Um, as you know me, I'm always updating these training guides, and I have hundreds of them already on my hard drive, kind of waiting for the next opportunity for me to present some concept inside inside that training manual. Today's training manual is about benefits, 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 right? We're talking about a specific side of the benefit factor that you need to know about. And we're talking about becoming and being the best beneficiary that you possibly can. Before we get into it, though, let's think about it. Why is it good for you as a business leader to know how to receive? Let that cook around in your noodle for a second. Why should you be good? Man, I mean great at receiving. How many times have you been told you're doing a wonderful job, but you don't believe it? How many times have people shared with you that we think you're just the greatest thing since sliced cheese, but you feel like you have imposter syndrome? How many times do you think you could do more? So what people receive from you as wonderful and as great, inside the back of your mind, you think, I didn't really give it everything that I needed to give it. All that noise, all those stories that you tell yourself that work against your being able to receive the accolades, the praise, um, the reception that you deserve in almost any given situation is stories of negativity. Those are stories that you tell yourself that allow fear, guilt, blame, and shame to run amok in your universe. And it's impossible for you to trust others and therefore be trusted by others when these negative emotions are in control. Now, I'm not going to send you off into a whole psychological diatribe and try to help you explain emotional intelligence and how it all works with your feelings and all that kind of stuff. Well, we're going to talk about these things that are very, very important because we think sometimes that all we need is a paycheck, but we need so much more than that. And we all need to be able to explain from the point of view of our beneficiaries and benefactors, you know, what it is we truly need. Because when people are making gifts to you, when people are working with you, when people are talking to you, they're actually pouring into you something they think that you need. And if you say thank you, because it's obligatory, you're supposed to be thankful for people, things that people give you. They may think what they've given you and what they've shared with you, what they've said to you is adequate. It's appropriate. It actually meets the needs that you really need to have. But I promise you, if you're not good at articulating what you need to your benefactors and to people who think they might be supplying you or people you think might be compensating you or people that you think might be working with you, then you're kind of killing the opportunity for you to be fulfilled and for you to be happy with the things you do. And we all, I mean, you've heard me say it 1,000 times, if you, those of you who've been watching, we're all working for our MRS degree, right? What's the MRS stand for? Meaning, relevance, and significance. We all want those things in our lives, but only we know what's meaningful to us. Only we know what's relevant to us. Only we know what's significant to us. So the first question I have to ask you is, how do you plan for the emotional well-being of yourself and everyone else around you in performing the activities of your performance, no matter what role that you play, whether that's a role of a husband, a wife, a father, an entrepreneur, a business leader, a partner, whatever role you're playing. How do you make sure that you're planning and helping them receive well-being as a benefit to just being in the world that you're in? How do you plan for that? How do you share that with others that that's what you're helping to try to help them achieve? How do you language that? And I'll tell you, when you learn benefit speak, which we're going to talk about this whole series about, you're going to be really good at separating the facts and features of what you offer from the benefits that people receive as a result of what you offer. And if you can explain those benefits really, really well to people, they're going to then receive what you have to offer in a much different way. No matter how you perform, no matter how you execute, whatever it is that you execute, when you've built the proper expectation and you've delivered that excellent performance, people receive it in the way that it was intended to be received. But you got to help them understand what it is they're getting when they say yes to you. And it's not always in the contract language. You can't depend on that. You have to have enough of a communication, enough of a conversation to convey, this is what I need, this is what I'm sharing, and this is how adequately accomplishing both of those things will make sure we have the kind of performance that both you and I expect out of the situation. This is creating a win-win situation. So how do you do that? How do you explain that? How do you language that? How do you do that for yourself? Second question that I want you to consider. And that question is this one. Question number two. I lost my little link here. Now I got to go back and find it because my phone timed out on me. And it's not supposed to do that when I don't want it to do that. It just does that by itself. I don't know how many of you all have been working with my phone, been and trying to get my phone to do things that I didn't tell it to do. But I'm blaming you all because I'm not taking responsibility myself. Question number two. How much in terms of success is actually too much? And that's a thought, right? Because we think success is something we can't get enough of. But in reality, I want you to think about this. What happens when you are burdened with the responsibility of more than you can handle? How do you not feel overwhelmed? How do you not feel outclassed? How do you not feel like somehow this might work against you? You know that old saying, be careful what you ask for because you just might get it. If you're not prepared to handle the success that comes your way, the benefits that come your way, the gifts that come your way, the benevolence that other people may want to bestow upon you, should you take it? Should you say yes to, that partnership or that investment opportunity that someone's trying to make in your business? Do you understand exactly what it all means? What's it called for? What is going to be required of you? Yes, you may get a trunk load of cash to kind of reduce some stress in what it is that you need to do, but what is expected? What is required? Is it more than you need? Is it going to cost you to go into the next highest tax bracket or lose some kind of write-off that you needed in order to fulfill something that you promised somewhere else? So think about all those things. When you think about success, what is success in actuality? And how do you define it? And how much is too much? Because there's a kind of a rule out there in the universe. If you take more than you could use, what happens to the excess? Can you keep it? Does it somehow get wasted or unused? Leslie would agree with me. Energy is like that. You can't hold on to it. You can't hoard it, right? If you receive more than you need, guess what happens? It just dissipates. It just goes bye-bye. It's not sustainable for you to be in receiving more than you need to receive or should receive, um, based on what you're producing or what you're contributing back into the space. So entrepreneurs often don't think about that. We think about how can we get more sales? How can we get more sales? How can we get more? How can we get more? How can we get more? But on the end of that is fulfillment. You have to fulfill the requirements that you set yourself up to fulfill. So you're making promises that now you can't deliver on because you don't have the infrastructure. You don't have the right people, or you lost one of your best people and you can no longer offer that service, but you did it anyway. You took people's money, you set the expectation, hoping that you might figure it out in the long run or figure out in the short run. And that'll work for a small amount of time before it will no longer work. And so you can't get in the game of over promising and then setting yourself up to under deliver. You also probably shouldn't get in the game of under promising and then over delivering. I know that's something that a lot of us have been duped into believing that's something that you should do, is to try to overwhelm your client. But what happens when you give more than is expected is, again, you put other people in a situation where they don't know what to do with all this either, because they didn't plan on it. They didn't, oh wow, this is amazing. I think it's great, but I don't know what to do with it. How can you appreciate that, really, if you don't really know what to do with it? Or you can say thank you again. It's the obligatory thank you, but is it really effective? Is it the really effective use of the time, the space, the time, the talent, the treasure that you've offered? Question number 3. Who should be serving your needs while you're busy serving the needs of others? I know that's not a question that business leaders ask themselves enough, because they're often overwhelmed with, oh, I gotta serve, I gotta serve, I gotta serve. But being a good servant is also accepting the service of others. You got to be good at that. You got to balance that out, because, like I said earlier, you could give, contribute, contribute. Next thing you know, all you are is a giver and a contributor, and it's a one-way street. Everybody looks at you as somebody that can serve them, but there's nothing in it for you because you can't even articulate what's in it for you. You can't even share with them, I'm getting so much out of just serving you, and let me tell you what that is so that you're aware of what it means to me to have the ability to serve you. If you can articulate that, people then like, oh, they go, okay, okay, great. Because, I think I'm being served. I don't think that I'm offering anything back. And sometimes they need to know what that offering is and what that means to them. Number 4, this is a tricky one. I love this question. What does it mean to you to be a good beneficiary? What does it mean? If someone privileges you with their time, their talent, or their treasure in some way, what do you feel is an adequate response to that? What do you feel is going to empower them to continue to share with you what they're sharing with you? How do you adequately receive it in a way that they go, that just didn't feel good because I did it. It feels good because of how people received it and how they responded to me. Now, if you do this right, you realize that people share out of their abundance for various reasons, right? It may be totally selfish. They feel like they raped, robbed, and pillaged the whole world for a long period of time, and they've accumulated all this stuff, and now they want to share it so they can ease their pain of guilt, right? I don't know if I want somebody's shame investment in my business, or I want that particular. I don't think I want it that way. Even though I could turn it around and do great things with it, do I want to be saddled with the burden of being the relief valve for someone else's guilt, fear, shame? That's up to me. I have to decide, and you have to decide. How do you do it? What does it mean to you to be a good beneficiary? Does that mean you can accept all gifts? That means that you can accept anybody who wants to give you anything, any way they want to give it to you, and you say thank you? Because you know what happens when you don't, right? When you don't accept what they're sharing with you, and you don't accept it in the graces that they believe that they should be, you know what that makes you, right? Know what they say about you. Oh, I can tell right now. GI wants to share something. I'm gonna let you come on in and share it.
Oh my God, boy, every time I'm with you, my mind is going 10,000 miles. Thank you, Coach, for the generosity of your intellectual property and your great mind. Let me just say, as I was sitting back there laughing and smiling, you know, a couple of things. It used to matter to me the spirit or the why people gave, right? And I would say, I don't want it because it's self serving. They don't really mean it. Well, we could say that about a lot of gifts. Sometimes that's not necessarily visible, right? And we think somebody's who has mastered the art of giving to get, but they have kind of masked their intention well, or you're too busy to notice that the intention isn't well, and we received it. So I started saying, okay, God, let me not judge the giver, but let me accept the gift. Because if you brought that person in my path and the gift is good, I am going to receive it. On the same token, I think we have an obligation to turn away gifts that aren't good. It is like somebody bringing a basket to your door and they knock on it, and over the, it's covered up. And when you uncover it, it's snakes. Now, unless you are a snake lover, you're going to refuse that gift, regardless of the intention of the person who said, I love snakes. I thought you would too. Well, no,
Right.
we have an obligation to say no, right? We don't. And that comes in, I call it in the negative of the inner energy or malintent. We don't have to question our worth. We don't have to question our success to say, oh, this person offered me something bad, so that now, and then to mirror that back, and now that means that because they did this, that means there's something wrong with me. So you had my mind going in a lot of different ways. I think as business owners, we have to do that and mentors. We have to be careful about those we accept into our lives, into our circles, who want to give us their gifts, but they might not be the right person to give us their gift or benefits, And that's why I'm so thankful for you, because, I mean, you're a gift that keeps on giving, Coach Powell. Thank you, brother.
All right, I put you backstage. That's amazing. And she is so right. Um, you know, discernment has to happen on both sides of the equation, right? You have to be discerning about where you contribute, what you contribute, where you share your gifts and talents and treasure and time, and what you receive from others in a way that is going to add to the excellence and the performance of what we all do. And so that's why I'm asking these questions. Question number 4 is another humdinger. Question number 5, I'm sorry, is another humdinger. Number 4 was what does it mean to be a good beneficiary? Number 5 is how do you provide for your benefactors? You know those people that say, I don't want anything from you. Just here's something of my time, here's something of my resources, here's something of effort that I'm going to put out there, and I don't want anything from you. I don't want anything back. Okay. Now, if that happens over and 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 over again, what do you get used to? You get used to being a receiver. You don't learn how to contribute back, even to the people who have contributed and empowered you to do the thing that you're empowered to do. I'll give you an example. How many of you all have had the opportunity to thank your third grade teacher for teaching you how to multiply? Because truly, if you don't know how to multiply, if you never learn how to multiply, think of what you could not do in your world today, right? If you didn't learn how to conjugate a sentence and speak the King's English or the Queen's, that's the King's English now, or it used to be the Queen's English, right? If you don't learn if you don't want to do that, what you can't associate what it means to be a hero because you never were taught the classics and understand the nature of humankind in terms of storytelling, what we need to do to share information with each other back and forth, because no one ever broke that down for you. You never really understood, all the books and things that you were forced to try to read when you were in high school. These people poured into you. They gave you that energy, those teachers, those principals, even those administrators helped you become the you that you are today. Now, to the extent that you like the you that you are today, you probably should be grateful. But how do you share that with them? I promise you, every time I get a chance to sit with my old teachers, even the ones I don't remember, if I ever get a chance to sit down with them and they remind me that, yeah, you were in my class and I taught you in ninth grade. I'm like, ninth grade? Because I do remember ninth grade. I don't remember every teacher I had in ninth grade, but I remember ninth grade. I remember who I was at that time. And I remember that I'm not that guy anymore, right? I get the chance to say thank you. My college professors, old bosses, people that poured into me some kind of way in my life, all of that, everything they did, even the negative stuff, you know, created the me that I am today. So to the extent that I am happy with the me that I am today, I owe some gratitude to those who put time, talent, and treasure into me. And so if I get a chance to come to somebody's 70th birthday celebration or their retirement celebration from their position or whatever, that I know for a fact that I was blessed to be a part of their tutelage or underneath that, I'm going. If I can make it happen, I'm going. And I'm going to try to give them their flowers while they're alive today. That's kind of the reason why I wrote the rap approach, which is an acronym that stands for respect, affection, and praise. Because I believe that there's so much that we can always do for those that have poured into us. We can always give them the respect that they're due, the affection that they're due, and the praise that they're due in a way that is going to help them understand what the gift of their time, talent, and or treasure meant to me. It's always something that you can give back to people, no matter what they say. And you should be thinking about how you treat your benefactors. How do you treat people who have poured into you? How do you treat your suppliers? How do you treat your investors? How do you treat your stakeholders? How do you treat your referral sources? How do you treat these people that have empowered you to be, do, and have the things that you can be, do, and have, or continue to do that on an ongoing basis? Your customers do the same. You know, by allowing you to express and do the thing that you are gifted at doing and creating an environment where you can receive payment for that, they don't have to do that. You know, you don't have to, and you don't have to take it for granted. So I say always learn to try to figure out, even for those that you perceive that they're giving to you, understand that you're also giving to them and figure out ways to make sure that you are. Because not that you could ever even out the scales, but attempt to make whatever, show whatever contribution that they've given you, show them how it's relevant, show them how it's meaningful, show them how it's significant. Because if you can do that, no one will ever complain that you are ingracious or that you are less than appropriately thankful, for whatever contribution anyone or any entity makes on your behalf, and you'll be richly rewarded because of that. Question number 6: who should want to support you out of the sheer desire to be supportive to you. There are people who naturally want to support you. They just want to. Something about you, something about your product, your service, your offering, something about your organization calls to them and they want to be involved. They don't want to be threatened, they don't want to be worried, they don't want to be they want to be involved and they want to share what they have, their time, their talent, their treasure, which is what we all have, right? They want to share something. Who are they? You should be able to identify people who should be your suppliers and love it. You should be able to identify people who should be your top customers and loving every minute of it. You should be able to identify people who should be your referral sources, should be your business development experts, should be your whatever it is that you need. You should be doing your work to discover who they are and connect with them, the opportunity that you have for them. Because you're giving an opportunity for them to express themselves and their talents and gifts, just like they're giving you an opportunity for you to express yourselves and your talents and gifts. So think about that. The last question I'm going to ask you before we open this up is to really start to look at our panelists and take their point of view on a lot of this stuff is number 7. What are the real benefits that you seek and how do you attract them? There's a desired state that you have in your mind and in your heart. There's things you want to be, people, a person that you want to be, things you want to be able to do, things you want to have in place. And there are people who can empower that if they chose to. You know, Oprah can make my book a #1 bestseller like that. But I haven't convinced Oprah to fall in love with me yet because I haven't met her. But I have a plan for when I do meet her. And I already know it's going to happen because she's on my top 10 list of people that I know. If I were able to gain that support from her, oh, my life would be a lot easier. Things would work a lot better than they are right now. So I'm going to bring Leslie and GI to the table, if I can, to have this chop it up and have them share their thoughts about anything and everything we talked about. And let's see how. Let me see if I can't organize these videos so that we're not. Oh, there we go. That's a little bit better on the screen. Not much, but it's a little bit better. Okay, see if we can't center ourselves, ladies, and let's chop it up. And you can come off mic. Anything you want to share, anything you want to comment on. We'll go with you first, Leslie, because GI's already had a shot at that.
Oh, I appreciate that. And GI, I really have enjoyed your contributions so far. Just really filled me up. So thank you. I need to talk to you individually. We're going to be fast friends, I can tell. I think for me, fundamentally, every single night when I go to bed and every single morning when I get up, I am always just saying, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for everything. Everything. I have an awareness that I will never be able to say thank you enough for all the incredible experiences in my life. And I'm not just talking about the positive experiences, because there are tremendous lessons in the negative experiences as well. And a tremendous amount of growth happens in those places. So for me, in terms of what I bring, I love to encourage people. Everybody, every single human on the planet has challenges to overcome. Every single human being does. And we individually, when we stop and we spend time in prayer, meditation, get ourselves centered, we choose consciously to walk in the light, We choose consciously to help others come into the light or to stay in the light. When we spend time in that place, there is absolutely nothing that you can't pick up on in your relationships, because fundamentally you care very deeply. And one thing that GI said earlier, I am really embracing the beauty of being able to say when something is not right, when something is not good, to either redirect or help get it back on the rails, that type of thing. So I just thank you for that.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Anything to add, Gi?
I love that. And Leslie, say when, say where. Any friend of coaches is a friend of mine. I want to say that early, I'm GI, us military folks. We always have a story. We always have a war story. But early in my life, um, I learned how to love myself, and that came out of pain. It came out of being, the only Black officer's kid at age 5, and being on the playground with kids who were allowed to play with me outside, but when their mother called them in and said, "Hey, there's cookies and milk for everyone," I was turned away at the door.
Mm.
And so I learned early on that. That I was different. And my mother and parents did a great job of reminding me there's nothing wrong with you. And so, being in a place where the officers' kids did not like me because I was Black, and back then they segregated enlisted kids. So the enlisted kids did not like me because I was an officer's kid, and my dad made more money than their dad. So I was in this no man's land. And I will tell you, I learned that I was not perfect, but I'm perfect for what God has for me to do. And that we are destined only to serve some, not all. And I think it is in that struggle to, as a giver, to heed the signs that our gifts are being refused, and not to take that personally, but to take it as a sign that, oh, okay, they don't see me, they don't get me, because I have a saying, if you don't get me, you don't get me, period. That's it. I'm not begging you. I'm not. It is what it is, because there's somebody who will. I'm searching for who will. So the last thing that I'll say is, um as givers and servants, my biggest thing that I told this to Coach earlier this week is, I'm just trying not to be Moses. Moses, he struck the rock in the Bible. He was angry at the people he was leading because they didn't get it. They didn't want to understand that you need to know this to get to the promised land. And God didn't let him in because he had a bad attitude. So on those days when I'm struggling, I'm like, Lord, please don't let me be Moses. I do want to get to the promised land. And then I just take a deep breath and, like you say, get centered. And I come back and I'm in love all over again, right?
Yep,
With what I'm
yep.
trying to do. So, anyway.
You just reminded me of something. It's two things you reminded me of. And the first thing I'll share is, my mother, she was some kind of nut job
No,
when I
she
was
wasn't.
growing up. And what I mean by that is she convinced me that I was the greatest thing since sliced cheese. She convinced me that I was the most talented, that I was the smartest, that I was the cutest, I was the best kid anywhere that anybody could ever have. So much so, and I believed it. So much so, when the doors were shut for me, I never thought it had no,
Yeah.
it bounced off of me like it never even mattered. That's not my problem. My, she had my self concept so irrationally high that I had no healthy way of dealing with even rejection. So I'm like, wait a minute, I'm supposed to learn something from this rejection. I would just go knock on the next door, like, oh, can you come out and play? I could care less. I didn't want to be in that house anyway.
Anyway,
You know, I didn't ever felt like I was missing anything, unfortunately. And that was a good thing. And again, it was a bad thing, right? Because she shaped my perspectives in a way that I could build a defense mechanism against the world that might be against me and still continue to move forward. And in that way, she helped me be emotionally resilient,
that's
right?
You both sound like you had incredible moms. That's really wonderful. Yeah.
it
But
was all
now,
survival.
at the
And
same
I'm
time,
sorry. On the other hand, I did mean to comment earlier, GI, and I apologize. That must have been a very, very difficult walk. Even though Coach Powell is saying his perspective, the way that you described that, I couldn't imagine, you know.
That was my
and I, and
that's why I think I was going to say Marvin's mother prepared him that way because she understood the world he was going to live in, right? And I want to let you finish your story. Thank you.
that is absolutely true. That is absolutely true. And I came up in a time when it was power to the people. It was everybody. Afros were out to here. So it was a crazy time. But I just was told automatically I was a king. I was a giant. I was everything that anybody needed to be. And I believed it. You know, and it wasn't just I was adequate, I was better. And I had to learn as I got older, I had to say, wait, time out. I had to learn. You're not better. There are people who are smarter. There are people who are more talented. They have different kinds of gifts that you may not ever acquire. And but that was after I got mature enough to actually see other things. So that protective thing, it did help me get to a point where I could actually see others and go, oh wow, hmm, maybe I'm not the best. And how do I deal with that now? Because that letdown, that was the real trauma. It's like, wait a minute, what do you mean I'm not the best? I worked hard. I should get an A. And you can approve objectively that I don't know what I'm talking about, and you gave
Yeah.
me a C. This is a problem.
Yeah. And I
That's
want to jump in here, Coach. You said something that I think is the huge transition for a lot of us. I worked hard, so right. It is that my effort was at such a high level, and maybe even higher than others, but I was not chosen. I was not
right.
included. And to realize that that effort is not necessarily equate to, right, um, the expected outcome. I mean,
Yeah. We all believe the lie, and this is something I
we
want.
did.
That's why I talk about it all the time. We all believe the lie that we're told in society in different ways that our work will speak for us. You know that will justice will come to us if we just work hard enough. If we just put our head down, nose to the grindstone. Do those things that accept. And we all want to be exceptional. We all want to be the best. Everybody can't be the best. But what we can be is the best that we can be. And, I told a client of mine this morning, as you are pursuing whatever it is that you're pursuing and you're giving your best effort, that's all you can do. You've given your best effort. At that point, you now have to move into acceptance, right? That's a big word. I should do a whole training guide on just that.
Yes.
Just go ahead, Gia. Go ahead. You got something.
We were acceptance is
Oh,
a whole section. It's a whole section.
Because when you can't accept the reality that is in front of you, you're gonna keep bumping your head against it and going, why not me? Why not me? Why not me? You keep asking that question, then you're missing the opportunities where you're supposed to be.
So
When people
redirect.
start, when people start going, well, where have you been? I'm so glad you're here. Because you're focused on trying to knock down the wrong doors or focus on trying to beat yourself into a situation and find out even when you get there, you didn't want to be there anyway.
And I want to say, I'm sure Leslie has seen this as well. That is what you just mentioned is one of the greatest struggles for small business owners when it comes to finding new clients.
Yes, 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 yes. And not to poo-poo his face, but I remember there was a gentleman that came to visit a group of us many, many years ago named Perrin Mitchell. Perrin Mitchell was Congressman Perrin Mitchell. And he was a part of the original writing of the 8A legislation that allowed women and minorities and veterans to finally get a chance to be a part of the government contracting space. And over the years, he saw this happen. He saw that legislation get whittled down and become less and less and less and less effective for quality small businesses to actually get involved in the contracting space. And the barrier now, the entry is so high that, you know, I tend to counsel people to go, be very careful before you jump first into the government contracting space without realizing that you probably need to get a really good grasp on your offering and who wants it before you decide I'm going to try to tailor myself to meet all these various different NACE codes and SIC codes and different aspects of it, because you're not going to catch up to that. You're going to be a jack of all trades, master of none, and you're going to get nothing done. In the time that you get awarded the 8A, if you get it, if you get awarded it, you still got to go find some people to play with. Whether that's going to be subcontracting or prime contracting. And if you're not good at finding the right people to play with, you will have wasted that opportunity and you'll have to refile again under another business name or another business entity and go through all the qualification processes all over again. So I say, do it right the first time and be careful before you say yes to something that you probably are not ready for. And that's all about receiving the benefits, right? You're going to, because it is a benefit to be able to qualify for some of these certifications and awards for whatever your business is and every business entity. All right. But if you're stretching to try to qualify for it, are you ready to receive it really? And you got to ask the question. I'm not saying that, I don't have the answers. I'm just saying that every entrepreneur should ask the question. Any last thoughts, Leslie, before we close out the session today?
No, I appreciate all those perspectives and I'm walking that right now. So it's all very relevant and thank you. Yep.
Outstanding. Don't go anywhere, Leslie, because I'm going to put you backstage, but I'm going to close the show out and we can talk and chat after that, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, this is Coffee Tea, You and Me. This is the place to be for your small business ideas. This is the place to have the real conversation. Like I said, every week I bring to you some of the best people out there, some of the best minds out there. When I'm lucky, I can get some just truly rock stars. I don't put anybody in front of you who are not ready, they can't handle it, right? But the issue that you have to think about is what is it that you need? If you're going to be the beneficiary of what other people bring to the table, I don't care if they're working for you, if they're employees of yours, they're giving to you, they're contributing. You need to figure out how to be a beneficiary in that regard. You're not just giving to them. I'm paying them for a job well done. Let me just break this myth really quickly. It's impossible to pay people what they're worth. Economically impossible. If everybody got paid what they're worth, in the world of scarcity that we tend to exist in, there would be nothing left. There'd be no profit in anything that anybody did. Now, some might say, well, that's good. I don't know. I don't have the answers to those questions. I will tell you that's not how our capitalistic system works. And you have to figure out, because it is capitalism. Rule number one, exploits every resource to scarcity in pursuit of profit. That's rule number one. I learned that first day in economics. If you don't understand what that means and how that reflects upon you, you're not going to do well in business, not American style. So you got to really think about that and how much is too much and how much are you willing to give and how much you're willing to take out of this system. Because if you don't do that, I got a feeling you're going to be caught with a lot of surprises. Okay, guys, I had a great time. I'm going to close the show out. Hope you all did too. Again, if you want to contact GI, if you want to contact Leslie, their confirmation, their information that they wanted to share is in the chat. Oh, my girl Pamela is here. Oh, thank you so much for coming in, Pamela. I didn't even see you sneaking in there at 3:57. Okay, awesome, awesome, awesome. I really appreciate you for being here, for sharing, for contributing. Anybody who's contributing in the chat, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. We're going to end the live stream, and everyone, my guests, to hold on backstage. I'm going to come.